Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Welcome to The Lion, the Lamb, and the Lawyer. I'm Matt Benson, and today we're going to talk about what Jesus Christ actually looked like. Now, I'm going to warn you before we go any farther, if your faith is somehow anchored to the idea that Jesus is a long-haired, light-skinned hippie, you should probably stop watching this video now. This portrait, which may very well be found in your church and in the home of your religious grandmother, is called, predictably enough, Head of Christ. It was painted around 1940 by an American artist named Warner Sallman, then distributed just about everywhere. I've heard estimates that this image has been reproduced over 500 million times, and it's shaped a lot of American conceptions of what Jesus looked like. Here's the thing, if you look at this picture and analyze it, Jesus looks both distinctly white and distinctly American. Matter of fact, if you scroll through your head and think about it, probably most of the images of Jesus in your head have him both white and American. I'll give you a few examples. This is Jim Caviezel in The Passion of the Christ. Very, very American, very, very white. This is Ewan McGregor playing Jesus in The Last Days of the Desert. Not American, but very white. Even when Kevin Smith decided to portray Jesus in the movie Dogma, he came up with a buddy Christ who looked a lot like the cool kid who avoided playing high school football in the Midwest. There's a simple reason why this happens. Artists like having their work appreciated, and people tend to be more appreciative of religious imagery if their God kind of looks like them. As a result, different cultures portray Jesus in different ways. Chinese artists tend to create portraits of Jesus with Chinese features so that God resembles their intended audience. African artists tend to create portraits of Jesus with African figures so that God resembles their intended audience. Latin American artists do the same thing. What I'm saying is this, art is powerful in that it tends to shape our conceptions. We think of God as an old man with a beard because that's what Michelangelo's told us he looked like. But if we really want to know what Jesus Christ actually looked like when he walked the earth, we need to get away from the art and turn to science. This brings us to the field of forensic anthropology. Now, if forensic anthropology sounds familiar, that's probably because Emily Deschanel's character in the TV show Bones was a forensic anthropologist. In 2001, a medical artist named Richard Neve, retired from England's University of Manchester, decided to use forensic anthropology to create a portrait that was based on the assumption that Jesus Christ was a Jew living in Galilee during the reign of Caesar Augustus. Neve found three well-preserved skulls from around Jerusalem, then used X-ray imaging to determine the averages in face shape, skin tone, and eye color to estimate Jesus' facial figures. They determined that Jesus probably had short hair with tight curls, stood around 5'1", and weighed around 110 pounds, and they determined he looked something like this. Now, if this guy walked around America today, we'd probably think he was either Middle Eastern or black. And I understand that this isn't consistent with most people's conception of Christ, and that's okay. Jesus having different hair or a different complexion doesn't mean he loves you any less. It probably should make you a little bit more accepting in regard to how you treat people who look differently than you do. After all, Jesus gave us 2 commandments, which form the 2 big rules of Christianity. Love your God with all you are and love your neighbor as yourself. I started this project because if we don't know why we believe, we don't really know what we believe. If you like this video, please consider sharing it with your friends. You can find The Lion, the Lamb, and the Lawyer on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We try to put out a new video once a week. Thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time. I hope you got something out of it.